Monday, I go back and I review the market for you and tell you what the market's doing, what it looks like, and of course how you can benefit being a consumer in the process of buying or selling your home. I want to make sure you guys are connected to this. So let's dig in and look. So one of the cool things to look at the very beginning is you see new listings. New listings is great. It's going up. All right. So there's people who are catching that wave, right? We're going to talk about that in a second. Kind of go through. You see, it's getting very same back and forth and back and forth. If you compare last week to this week, you're going to see a lot of similarities. Now, here's one of the big things that doesn't seem like a lot, but I want you to pay attention to that months on inventory number. When you look at that from one side to the next, you're going to see that this week our months of inventory has dropped. Okay, we've talked about this. If our months on inventory continues to drop, we are going to be in a housing shortage, which means that it is going to be very much a seller's market. It's going to be a weird seller's market though, because there's still such a economic kind of discourse happening. And usually this is what that means. So when your home goes on the market and a mortgage comes in and says, I want to buy your home. The deal is that the mortgage is going to ensure that that home is going to be worth the cost of the contract, right? And so they're going to send an appraiser to come out. The appraiser is going to come. He's going to look around. He's going to see what the house is worth. He's going to say, yeah, this is an investment mortgage company, 270 contract. It's worth 270. Okay. So here's what's really interesting. When the economic times are happening, there is a sense that even though we would be in a seller's market, the thing that you're gaining is time, not necessarily money right now, because appraisers are still being conservative. Now, that's me painting a really broad stroke across what I'm watching, except the difference is that I see a lot of these transactions. Being a team leader of a brokerage, not just running my own company for real estate, not just having Randy Olive Real Estate, being a realtor, I also help lead realtors and looking at all those contracts that come through. One of the things that I'm paying attention to is the spot on appraisals. Okay. And so I have one example that I'm watching right now. I have a contract that we got for next to nothing. It was one of those like diamond in the rough moments to where it's like, man, I don't think they're going to take this deal. And they did. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. You're going to have so much equity come back into your house. We got the appraisal back this week, and the appraisal was spot on to our contract. So you're seeing the conservative nature of appraisers start to come up. And now here's the reason why. They have their name on the line with that contract. So if there's an economic crisis, they're going to make sure that they're looking for the investment to be secure. And for that mortgage company to feel secure, it's going to need to have an appraisal that is just narrow. And so you don't see a whole lot of give and take on those appraisals. I've had some come through my office that are $30,000 off appraisal. So you're seeing the appraisers be conservative. And so when we get into the seller's market, one of the challenges that the consumer thinks is that seller's market, I'm going to put my house on the market and I'm just going to go and I'm going to get my lion's share of what the world is going to toss to me. And that's just not true, because if it's not a cash buy, which most of them aren't, and it is going to be mortgaged, then it has to appraise. And so as we look at the months of inventory continue to drop, we are continuing to get into that seller's market. What you gain is multiple offers that then you can pick the best offer and you get time. It takes a whole lot less time to be on the market. So usually your market average days on market's in the 50 to 58 range in Houston. Well, right now you're seeing like, especially in some of these hot price points, you're seeing days on market go like really like 15, 14, 13 days on market, which is phenomenal. I've seen a lot of them, like people are expecting like 11 days on market. Like that's my hope. That's my guess. That's my pay. And so when we look at this and we see the inventory, we have to be rational about what a seller's market looks like right now with the economic trends and with what's happening inside of the real estate market. It is its own very unique market, and market matters. And so it's not just this whole idea of like supply and demand, which is a really easy economic concept. Supply and demand, supply and demand. There's still rationale that has to happen inside of any peculiar market, especially in real estate, because there's many players across the board. It's just not me going to sell you a home. It's me utilizing a real estate agent to sell a home that you more than likely has another real estate agent that's helping in the process, that then has title that's involved in the process, that has mortgage involved in the process, and all of it has to be super clean. And right now with a mortgage, the mortgages are going to make sure that they're not taking bets or risks when the economics are so unsure. And so I just want to give that right out of the gate. Even though we are in a seller's market, it is not this high demand, I get to name my price. What you gain out of the market right now is I get to choose who's going to be buying my house, and I get to choose how long it's going to take me. So that's where you're getting the win in the choice and in the time. Okay. That's what I'm seeing. Again, you can ask any of your realtor. If you have a realtor professional, ask them their opinion on this. If you don't have a realtor professional, Randy Olive, I'd love to be able to help you guys out in any of your buying or selling needs, especially in this market. It is a very hot market right now, but you have to understand what hot market means. Your run of the mill agent, no offense, but your run of the mill agent who isn't paying attention to these little things will come in with rose colored glasses and help you to go forward without really understanding the concept of what it means to go forward and get the best for you. A fiduciary is being an economic leader, not just a real estate agent. So when you're looking at the rest of this stuff, guys, you're watching the inventory kind of decrease again. You're watching the near 100% listing price to sales price. That's still a deal. You're seeing the solds are still kind of like, man, it's just hitting in comparison to the new listings. And so there's still this imbalance that's happening. And so the market we're not seeing a whole lot of shift. Now, here's one of the things that I want you to really consider. And then one thing to pay attention to, one thing to consider, one thing to pay attention to. If you are a buyer right now, last week we talked about the power of being a buyer right now. The interest rates are really interesting. Like they've continued to go low, and we're at like a 50-year low. Like we haven't seen numbers like this in a very, very long time. And so when you're looking at your purchasing power, it is at its all-time highest. So even though we're in a seller's market, because there is a conservative nature happening in appraisal, you're not seeing these outlandish prices for homes. It's still good value. And so your purchasing power has been phenomenal right now. If you're considering buying right now, it would be worth looking at the equity in your current home, seeing what it looks like to sell your home and to be able to buy the next one. Don't be afraid of contingency sales. If you need to know what that means, let me know. But a contingency means you've got to sell your house to be able to buy a house. A lot of times when it's a seller's market, agents will say it's hard, it's difficult, it's not going to happen. Like I've got a few contingencies right now that are sailing through to clear waters. So don't be afraid of the market right now. You are really poised. There's a lot of purchasing power. There's a lot of sales power. It's just perfect storm happening right now that is very rare. Okay. Sorry about that. And then the second thing, something I want you to consider. Okay. Usually, right about now, you'll see a spike in families buying or families getting into the groove because of schools. They want to get into this house and into this particular school system, into this house, into this particular school system. Well, I'm curious to see how that will kind of play out. You usually see a little bit of a spike right now, a little bit of a tenacity, a little bit of a sense of urgency coming out. I'm curious about what that's going to look like, and I'm paying attention to the numbers. Maybe I'll be able to tell you in the next couple of weeks. But with the sense of what the schools are going to do next, and some of the families who have already decided to take their schooling into their homes, the necessity to move to get into a school system right now with that sense of uncertainty, we may see a decline where we used to see a bump. A bump? I don't even know if why what we might see this little bump happen. So I'd be curious to watch that. And if you're curious and you're watching the market the way that I am, I just want to put that little idea in your head. I'd be curious to see what happens when our schools, the way we school has changed, the way we do business has changed, and what that looks like overall. So anyways, guys, here's what we're looking at for the market. It's still a great market. It is still a wonderful time to sell your home. There's still a huge opportunity to get a ton of equity out of your house. Translate that into a much lower home payment and a much larger home. So the upgradability, which is what most people look at, we are in the perfect storm right now for that. So if you have equity in your home, your purchasing power is at an all-time high. It is a perfect storm to be able to consider selling and buying and getting into that new space, upgrading your space. So, all right, guys, I hope you're having a great day. Go and be awesome. If you have any questions, as always, here's all of my information. Come and find me. Let me help you out. I am Randy Olive, and this is Marketing Monday. Hopefully, y'all have an incredible day. And again, need anything? Let me know. I know a good agent.